Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 1994 film Nightwatch. And usually I don't do these no spoiler reviews for older films. It's usually films within the last 3 or 4 years. But this one's a little bit different. This is the streaming debut of a Danish film called Nightwatch, which some people may start watching this film, which I do recommend. I think it's pretty good. But some people may start watching this film like I did initially and be like, this seems so familiar. I feel like I've seen this movie before, and it's probably because there was a 1997 remake of this film that was also written and directed by the same guy who wrote and directed this 1994 Danish version. And that one ended up starring Ewan McGregor, Patricia Arquette, Josh Brolin, and Nick Nolte. What a cast, I know, right? I saw that movie a long time ago. I remember really liking it, so then I got pretty excited, and I'm like, this is the source material. Let's see what this is about. And it is good. I think I'd probably have to watch the 97 remake again to really decide which one I like more, but if memory serves, which, it's been a while, so it may be skewed, I like the 97 remake a bit more. But anyway, let's get into it. Nightwatch. Oh, and real quick, I'm also releasing on the same day a review for the sequel that's being released this year, 2024, which is called Nightwatch: Demons Are Forever, done by the same guy. So, continuing the same story many, many years later, you can check out that no spoiler review as well after this one. Written and directed by Ole Bornedal, who also did a film called, let's start with the best one, Masturbator. Literally a film called Masturbator. I Am Dina, Just Another Love Story, and Small Town Killers, just to name a few. Obviously, this is a Danish film, like I said, so it uses Danish, but also some Swedish language as well. Yes, it's a subtitled movie, but I will tell you this much. Danish and Swedish language are some of the slower languages in film, so the subtitles are up longer, so if you're a slower reader like me, it's a lot easier to keep up than some very fast languages like French being one of those. Coming to Shudder on Friday, May 17th is when this one's dropping. It's not a Shudder exclusive or original. They're just putting it up on the same day that they're putting up this new film, again, Nightwatch: Demons Are Forever. So quick synopsis about this one. It's basically about a young guy, in a pretty fledgling relationship with a woman who's kind of trying to figure out, like, where his purpose is. Like, what's his purpose in life? Where is he going? Who is he as a person, kind of like college age. And takes a night watch job. And it's a night watch job at a morgue. And he decides that this is what he wants to do for now, just to make some money, because he and his girlfriend need to make a little bit of money for something. And there had been some issues with someone in the past at this particular morgue, and then some weird things ended up start happening. And meanwhile, he is aware of the fact that there's been this serial killer on the loose who's been scalping women. So obviously, if any of those bodies show up, they would end up at this morgue, and he ends up getting tied up in this situation in a certain way. So if you've read the synopsis or you have seen the trailer, you probably know a lot more than what I just gave you, but that's all I'm going to give you. It is a good film. All right, so let's get on with it. The film does have a leisurely feel in the beginning, but is still interesting. I think in general it just kind of maintains throughout the film, where the pacing isn't great. It's a pretty slow film. They do seem to meander a lot with character relationships and character dialogue where you really don't need it. Some of that stuff probably, in my opinion, should have been cut out. But the character interactions are relatively entertaining, so that does help with not making it feel too bad. But the film is I think an hour and 47 minutes with credits and everything. And it really, for what it is, does need to be cut down a bunch, in my opinion. But it does have that kind of slow, leisurely feel, which I do like that feel to it. Like, taking your time to tell a story like this is cool, especially when the atmosphere that's created is quite good, and it is in this film. I think they did a good job with the atmosphere on this one. The characters are interesting, and you certainly do end up caring about them, which is really cool. Obviously, that speaks to good writing. You always want to try and suck people into the experience of the film and the interest of the film. because of the characters, because of interactions that the characters have, all that type of stuff. Excuse me, I think my cat is like banging on the bottom of the couch. She's under there right now. She's like making noise under there. It's like distracting. But anyway, yeah, so the characters are quite good. They have interesting relationships, and yeah, dialogue's pretty well written as well. There are nice portions with no score to them, which really helps the sound design stand out. I think the sound design is quite good in this film. I really appreciate what they did with that. I'm a big fan of good sound design. I think that can really help with increasing those kind of like creepy, tense atmosphere feelings, and that definitely happens within this film. So big fan of that, especially when they have those moments where they drop the score out and you're just kind of like listening to the quietness of this morgue, just like the main character. The shooting location and atmosphere created around it creates a good tense feeling, like I was kind of talking about, where you're expecting something to happen, but you kind of don't know when. Hence the tense aspect. You're a little bit on edge, like the main character is for a lot of the time, because let's be honest, this is a creepy situation to be in. And from the get-go, his character is like, I don't know how I feel about being here. You get a little freaked out from time to time for no reason. You're on edge, and they do a good job of making you as a viewer also feel what that character is going through. You can really feel what the main character is going through. Just getting to it here. Part is the acting, part is the writing, part is the camera work, and part is the actual score and the sound design. So all these great technical components really come together to create a great feeling to the film. Well, great feeling if you want to feel what the main character's feeling. It's not a great feeling to feel like tense and like kind of scared and stuff like that, but it's effective for it. So anyway, there's one character who people really I was going to say really won't like. Maybe some people will like him. I didn't like the character. He does a real good job, the actor does, of being just kind of an ass, just kind of a ridiculous ass of a character. That was intentionally written that way, so again, actor did a really good job, but I would have liked a lot less of that character. I think that character is kind of important to the story, but I think they go a bit too over the top with him, and they have him in it too much, and they don't really need that. There is kind of too much screwing around with the friend group, which really slows the film down. Again, I was talking about how it does need to be cut down, and one of the main things is that meandering aspect I was talking about, which really spawns a lot from the characters kind of just hanging out, just having longer conversations than they really need to. Like, they establish early on effectively, like, the dynamics between these people, and they don't need to, like, keep going back to it as much as they do, and having scenes as long as they do about that. So, just my thoughts. There is a question of if you can trust, autocorrect, if you can trust what you're seeing or not, because it is from the perspective of this main character. So again, it kind of goes along with what I was talking about with in the, being in the morgue and things being like on edge. Like, is he just scared about things? Like, is there something going on? Like, it's one of those kind of up in the air things until a certain point. You don't have to wait until the very end of the film for that, but it's probably a bit after like around the 1 hour mark or so is when you start to get an answer to which way you should be thinking. Things don't really take a step up until about the hour mark, which is kind of ridiculous to me, and speaks to, again, how it really did need to be shaved down some, because while it is still interesting and engaging, the fact that it like really gets interesting at like the hour mark, I think it should have been much earlier than that, personally. The ending is pretty good, although I do think things are revealed a bit too early in the movie. Like I was saying, things kind of, that question of how you should be thinking about things and how you should be feeling about things comes not too far after the hour mark. I think actually they should have kind of drug that out more and had it been a lot closer to the end, since it's an hour and 47 minutes, probably more around the hour and a half mark or so, because there's some stuff that's kind of answered too early, in my opinion, and it would have helped to keep the suspense up even more if they would have, and the mystery, and been kind of a better payoff if they would have delayed that even further. The very final scene is stupid. It doesn't really have anything to do with the climax of the film. It's just kind of like the ending, just like, oh, and here's a little something. I hated that scene. I thought it was totally pointless. Did not need it. I didn't get including it. This film actually seems to make a statement about just existing versus figuring out who you are and actually living a kind of more meaningful life. And you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about if you do end up seeing the film. But again, I did like the film. I think overall it is a good film. Out of 5 stars with half stars in play, I would say it's a 3-star movie for me. Between 3 and 3.5, but I think it skews a little more towards the 3-star side, unfortunately. But it is still good. I do think it's still worth watching it, especially if you do want to watch Demons Are Forever. Although I would say you don't have to watch this film in order to watch Demons Are Forever. But yeah, I'll talk about that in that review anyway. But thank you so much for watching this. Go ahead and put some comments down here if you want to talk about the movie. Obviously, you can do spoilers on it, especially because it's an older film. And do me a favor and hit subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate that. You can also hit the notification bell button if you want to know when I'm putting up new videos. And do the thumbs up on any video you watch to help me out with that YouTube algorithm. I do appreciate it. But anyway, regardless, thank you for your time. I appreciate that. And until next time, keep it brutal.